Hello and welcome to the Connect podcast, the weekly podcast for the California MBA featuring movers and shakers in the mortgage industry. I'm Susan Milazzo, host for Connect, and I'm very happy that you could join us today. Before we get to today's guest, I'd like to thank our Connect podcast sponsor, Incelerate.
Thanks, Susan, and thanks for listening. This is Josh Wren, CEO and founder of Incelerate. We're grateful for our partnership with the CMBA and are committed as a company to help lenders close more loans. We do this with our customer experience platform that has a CRM, lead management, marketing, automation, robust content library, desktop and mobile applications. We do this to help you engage and stay connected to your current borrowers, referral partners, past borrowers, and potential new ones. If you want to find out why we're the fastest growing CRM provider in the mortgage industry, please reach out to us and ask for a demo.
All right, thank you, Josh. And with that, this brings me to today's guest. As a gentleman I've known for many years now, I'm happy to welcome Andy Mekjavich, Principal at Gantry, to Connect. Welcome, Andy.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think this is probably your 100 and something episode. I was waiting when I was going to get this invite.
He's like, I'm not sure what took so long. No kidding, right? So I always like to start out the podcast just sharing with everybody kind of how you got into the industry. It's usually an interesting story. So tell us about your start in the mortgage industry.
Yeah, in listening to some of your other podcasts, that's like sometimes my favorite part. I tend to love hearing how people kind of wound through different jobs and industries and whatnot to end up in the commercial real estate space. But mine's no different. When I was, a teen, I think that kids are at least asked what they want to be at a very young age, and at a pretty young age following that, at like 18, you have to pick a focus, right? And when I was growing up, we had a family friend who I always thought was pretty successful and gregarious and fun, and he was a commercial real estate appraiser. And so I'm 18, I get into a college, and I have to pick a concentration, and I saw a finance and appraisal concentration, and I was like, all right, let's do that. So throughout college, I had many odd jobs, furniture moving. I worked at a cinnamon factory. I did some manual labor before I landed on probably my favorite job, not career, but job, working at a hotel. And working at that hotel on the Central Coast, it afforded me the opportunity to save some money. It was a pretty well-paying job working as a valet and bellman. And so when I graduated college, I feel like I was lucky to be able to go out and actually interview companies for a job rather than like actually getting interviewed, right? So I felt like I kind of got to pick what I wanted to do. And given that I had a focus in appraisal, even though it wasn't much, it was like a couple appraisal classes in school, I interviewed with a commercial real estate appraisal company and got that job. Started off as a commercial real estate appraiser or associate appraiser, and kind of quickly worked my way up in that company, and was actually doing appraisals, commercial real estate appraisals, for different banks and debt funds and mortgage bankers, including the firm that I'm a partner at today. So, kind of wound through a handful of different jobs. And I think that all of those experiences kind of help you focus or define, where you may want to end up.
Yeah, that's a great path to where you landed at Gantry, one of the cornerstone companies in the real estate industry. I know, as I mentioned at the beginning, you and I have known each other for a good long while now. Remember when you first got active with the California MBA, and you had such great energy, and you were one of our, I believe, in the one of the first classes in our Future Leaders program so many years ago. Of course, now you're a member of our board of directors. You're on our executive leadership as our commercial president, in line to be chairman of the board. So great kind of path from your association experience too. But in the Future Leaders program, can you talk with us about the importance of mentorship?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was 2007, I got nominated to do the California MBA Future Leaders Program. And the thought process at that time, I think for me and my boss, was just to get out and meet people, right? And the California MBA being really the premier platform to do that, you know, and the Future Leaders being that program being a good starting point or entry point into the California MBA. I was nominated, and I did that in 2007 and loved it. And you know, when you meet people, and as you talk about mentorship, I think I kind of learned this strategy in working with a lot of different people, both on the appraisal side and on the commercial mortgage banking side of the business. But I've always, you know, a lot of young people want to know what the secret to success, or how do you originate so many loans, or, you know, how do these deals kind of come together? And I think it boils down to, and like I was saying, picking off both good and bad characteristics from those that you work with in order to kind of create your own professional personality, if you will, right? And the California MBA, and then I subsequently did the National MBA Future Leaders Program, and just met a lot of people. It was funny. We acquired the commercial mortgage banking operation from Norris, Beggs, and Simpson in early 2020, and one of the principals there, a gentleman by the name of Patty Ryan, I did the Future Leaders Program with. So as we were kind of going through that process, he and I were like, yeah, we're actually going to get to be partners here. So you know, that all started from, you know, just so you know, this program back in 2007.
That's great. That's a great connection. I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing that with us. You know, one thing the real estate finance industry is always looking to do is increase diversity. Can you talk with us about how Gantry is attracting, you know, young or diverse individuals into this industry or your company?
Yeah, I think it's a challenge for our industry that everyone has kind of taken a little bit unique or a unique approach on. Our company is run and managed by a set of committees and subcommittees. One of those being the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Subcommittee, and that committee or subcommittee is, you know, meets frequently and is pretty consistently giving advice to the firm on how we continue to hire young and diverse professionals. We have 9 offices now, so I think each market poses its own kind of unique challenge, at least in the hiring process, whether that's, you know, engaging recruiters or approaching universities for their job boards. But at the end of the day, I think our strategy is to provide equal opportunity to all of our staff for a successful career. And what I really love about, and this is, you know, kind of back to your first question about, you know, how getting started in the industry, but I love that there is a direct correlation between how hard you work, how good you are at your job, and generally how much money you'll make, right? And so if you overlay all those factors over a platform that really allows for or affords success to people who want to work hard, that's an important thing for us. And I think Gantry does a good job at providing that platform.
That's great. And I think, you know, having a formal DE&I committee as part of the corporate structure, I think, of the company is really important. Great way to kind of keep that top of mind for, you know, recruitment purposes in the, you know, for the company.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Andy, I see you are involved in a few charities as well. Live with you, talk with us about why these organizations are important to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on the board for the Trinity Center, which is a homeless services organization in my hometown, Walnut Creek. And, you know, funny story, almost like the career path question, but I was working in downtown Walnut Creek and had bumped into and kind of befriended a homeless individual. I think I bought him lunch a few times. I think I bought him some clothes and maybe a sleeping bag, another. And one day after I did that, I went back to my desk and was like, you know, how can I do more? So I Googled, I forget what the exact Google search was, but I landed on the Trinity Center and made a phone call, talked to the executive director, and I think I was on the board the next day. That was probably 8 or 9 years ago, something like that. But for me, it's about, at least with the Trinity Center, it's just about having a community. I really value being able to walk down the street and know people, right? Being able to say hi to people and kind of, you know, on the real estate side, know who's doing what in the community, right? I think you'll see a lot of the leaders in our space involved with their communities in some facet, right? There's a few others. I don't know if you want to talk, you know, go down the list, but been involved with the Alzheimer's Association. That one was just really personal. Lost my grandfather, and kind of, I guess it's somewhat genetic. So I'm hoping maybe I can help in a very, very small way and improve my my chances when I age a little further.
It's always great to be involved and give back to those charities. I've worked in nonprofit arena as well, and it's always such a wonderful thing to have, you know, committed professionals that are willing to help you, you know, achieve your mission. So good for you. Two great charities for sure.
Absolutely.
So kind of get back to the real estate market. You know, 2022 can be a tough market for certain elements of the real estate finance industry. What asset classes do you see that are faring better than others this year or the next 12 months?
Yeah, good question. You know, outside of the typical asset classes that you read about, whether that be storage or multifamily or maybe industrial, and, you know, everybody somewhat kind of throwing shade on office, I am a firm believer in commercial real estate long term, right? So for prudent owners or buyers, investors who have a long view, I really think that opportunities will exist in all asset classes, right? Now, it's definitely gotten harder on us. I mean, on the debt side and for many of our clients, but the turbulence creates opportunity, right? And our clients who are not necessarily in it to make a quick dollar are still doing extremely well, right? But that doesn't have to necessarily be like generational wealth. And those kind of quick flip type deals may have come and gone. There's still, you know, there's still obviously some around. But again, I just think that prudent owners will have opportunities.
Yeah, great perspective. That's a great perspective. How does Gantry differentiate themselves from their competitors?
Another good question. You know, I'd say focus is primary for us. We think we're tracking about 5.6 to 5.7 billion in total originations this year, which is going to be, you know, call it 10% more than what we did, 10% or more of what we did last year. I don't think that if you would have polled even our team that we would have guessed that that would have been the case. But our focus on the products that we represent, being debt and equity for our clients, I think is really what sets us apart. And when I say focus, I don't necessarily mean like loan size or asset type, but really in the debt space, we view ourselves as a part of the team for all of our clients, right? And not to say that that's unique amongst our peer group, but that is absolutely our focus.
Right. Great to be a good business partner with your clients in those transactions.
To follow up on that, I think knowing our correspondence of the, you know, $5 or $6 billion that will originate this year, a typical year is roughly 60 to 65% of that we do or we fund on behalf of our, call it 30 plus life insurance correspondents, right? And so I think what you'll find a lot of times is that we're going out to create a marketplace for our clients and give them that feedback on the debt or equity. Now, if something doesn't necessarily fit that life insurance box, and not to say that that's our sole focus, but we obviously then have the ability to go out into the market and create the product that that our client needs.
Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah. No. Yeah. Great way to be a good business partner, like I say, with your clients and making those transactions, more of a long-term relationship.
Yep.
We're coming right up on the Western States CREF conference this year. And one thing I'm excited about at the conference this year is that we're featuring a session on technology. And so technology on the commercial side has really seemed to has been taking off. What are your thoughts on how the industry is adapting to the use of technology on the commercial side?
Yeah, so I always like, I wasn't there for this, but I remember when I started on the appraisal side of the business, I had heard stories and I thought this is just like primitive, but we're not that far away from the years in which appraisers had dark rooms, right, where they had to process their own photography. So if you look at it, on a kind of a larger scale, we've come a long way in a relatively short amount of time. That being said, I still think we have a pretty significant ways to go in servicing, I think, 2,100 loans. That, the technology has benefited our servicing side of our business dramatically, right? I think what has come out maybe in the last, call it 5 or so years, maybe longer, but the power of the origination technology is definitely something that is picking up steam, is being utilized by all ages of producers at our firm, but definitely some of the newer or younger producers are really taking advantage of the technology from an origination and contact management perspective.
I bet.
Yeah. I don't think that there's ever going to be a time that a commercial real estate mortgage banker is replaced by technology, though I think some firms are out there trying to try to pitch that, not that it's bad, but the nuances and intricacies of each individual deal will keep us employed.
Right. Yeah. It's like it's like an art form. I mean, it's from what I understand from, how you put deals together. But I think that I just, like I say, on the residential side, because they're consumer facing, just the influx of technology over the past, 10 to 15 years has been significant, and it's going full steam. And it's like, I feel like commercial sides, kind of getting that steam behind it too. So it's exciting to see.
Absolutely.
So as we mentioned earlier, you are, of course, a member of our board on our executive team for the California MBA. So can you talk with our listeners about the importance of supporting the organization like the California MBA?
Yeah, I mean, it's the lifeline to our industry, right? Then you'll see my favorite conference of the year, Western States CREF. I think my first year was 2006, and I don't think I've missed one since. I love that conference more than any. And pretty much everyone who is doing deals, whether it be mortgage bankers, direct lenders, life insurance companies, service providers, all attend this conference to learn what everyone else is doing and to make deals happen. So from that perspective, like I said, the California MBA truly is the lifeline to our industry. Now, that's the connection side. On the advocacy side, as you are well aware, the much of the pending legislation at the state level has kind of a consumer or residential focus. And the California MBA does a really good job at making sure that that proposed or pending legislation doesn't have shrapnel or unintended consequences for the commercial and multifamily side of our business.
Yeah, the advocacy part of the organization is truly our cornerstone. And boy, the folks in Sacramento like to keep a constant flow of topics for us to be addressing here in Sacramento. So yeah, we're proud of our advocacy efforts. So thank you for mentioning that.
Absolutely. I am looking forward to seeing everyone in a few days at CREF.
Yeah, we are just days away now, and we will see you in Vegas. Andy, thank you so much for being a guest on Connect. It's always great to spend time with you.
Thank you so much for having me. Cheers.
And thanks all of you for joining us today on Connect. To access any of our episodes, you can follow us on our YouTube channel. We're also available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. That's it for this week. We'll see you next time on Connect.